Hello everybody, how's it going? We're talking about a Dior private blend fragrance called Oud Ispahan. And a lot of people, especially on TikTok, have been asking me to talk about this fragrance because I guess it's trending on that app. But overall, do I like this scent and is it something I'd recommend? Straight up, it's not my cup of tea. All right, and do I recommend this? I'll get into that. But this smells like three things in particular to me: rose, oud, and patchouli. Now, if you haven't smelled patchouli, it's kind of like, it's like a dirty, earthy sort of scent, which kind of brings a bit of a masculine component, whereas the rose brings some femininity, making this a completely unisex fragrance. Now, the oud is interesting. If you've never smelled oud before, just imagine yourself walking in a farm, going into a barnyard and taking the biggest whiff of your life. Are you down with that? Does it smell good to you? Is it making you just go wild? If not, be cautious with oud, okay? Sometimes people describe oud as a fecal sort of scent, and it's definitely something that you have to train your nose to like. It is not something I would recommend if you're new to fragrances at all, especially if you've only been exposed to Bath and Body Works, Victoria's Secret, even the retail Macy's fragrances, Sephora and Ulta. Jumping from that to oud is gonna take a little bit of practice, all right? So overall, this is a unique, bold type of scent. It's definitely very loud. It wasn't made to please the masses, and I think that's where a lot of the appeal comes from, because a lot of people want to smell different, like, oh, I want to smell different, but just be cautious, because sometimes smelling unique and different doesn't really smell good. You know what I mean? But of course, you are the wearer, so if you like it, that should be all that matters. Now, when I did wear this fragrance, I did receive a compliment on it. Somebody said I smelled different, but when I was wearing it, I didn't really care too much for the scent. It wasn't really taking me there. It wasn't really scratching that itch for me. Now, in terms of performance, I remember I got a little bit over 8 hours. On clothes, definitely lasts a little bit longer, and that sounds good, right? 8 hours of performance with a fragrance. But when you actually put it into the category that it is, like an oud rose type of scent, usually those things can push past 12 hours. Whenever there is oud that is central in a fragrance, I have basically, like, my standard of it is it better be able to push past 12 hours because it's an oud fragrance. Oud is one of the boldest, loudest notes you can put in a scent, so it should perform. And this was kind of lacking in that department. Of course, if you look at it in the macro, it's thumbs up, right? But in its specific type of niche, not really making the cut in that regard. Now, an interesting thing with this fragrance, I don't know if I mentioned this already earlier. If I did, it's gonna sound like deja vu, but also it kind of smells a little bit like an old antique shop with a little bit of a Coca-Cola vibe. Yeah, it's like definitely on my skin right now. I'm getting that, which is interesting. Like if you've tried Creation E by Raja Parfums or Enigma, a little bit right now, which is weird because I don't really get that scent when I wear Oud Ispahan. But here's the thing with this fragrance, is that overall, when you look at it, yes, it's checking the boxes of being unique, bold, loud, and daring, right? But then when you put it to compete with other scents, for example, Rasala by Arabian Oud, this is also a rose oud fragrance, and there's some saffron in it. I don't know if there's patchouli in this fragrance. I don't believe so. But this thing can perform easily over 24 hours. I remember the first time I sprayed this scent, I only did 1.5 sprays. I did a full spritz and then just little right here, just on my arm. I was getting complimented for 2 days straight. And yes, of course, I showered, right? But just the performance, the concentration of the fragrance, super heavy. And these are pretty much worth the same amount. They're both in that $200 range. So that is definitely something to consider. Now, this kind of reminds me, it's like the embodiment to me of, like, let's say that like you're in high school, or like you're in high school and you're either a football player or a volleyball player or something like that, right? and you're the best in your school. And then you go to like nationals or whatever, and like you notice that like, holy shit, I am literally a small fish in a big pond. That is kind of like this fragrance. You know what I mean? I think to people used to designer scents, they're going to be like, oh, wow, that's different. Or at least when they see it on the internet, that's what they're going to think until they put their nose to it and actually make their own opinion and, you know, give it a wear, right? But then when you actually have it competing with other things like it, it's like a very dim light. To me, this is definitely not a standout fragrance in terms of rose oud fragrances. And I feel like if you really want to just go in that direction, send it. Just like go with like Risala by Arabian Oud, because you know you're going with a baller scent. So this definitely fills the room. Definitely like the smell lingers. And with this, it does have a nice scent trail. It has decent projection, but it's just not enough, at least to me. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the double-edged sword with this fragrance, is that it is unique, but it's still too safe for the kind of scent profile that it's in, you know, and that's the reason I knock it. So would I recommend this fragrance? Honestly, not. This isn't really something you would hear me talking about a lot of like, oh, you guys need to get your nose on this, blah, blah, blah. I think it's a good like starter type of scent if you get a small sample of it and you start to like this scent profile and it will grow on you, then cool. But I think that there's just better options than Oud Safanad. No, I was thinking of a Parfum Sterling fragrance. Oud Ispahan. Excuse me. But yeah, there it is. I know that you can get samples of it from Dior's website. That's where this sample came from. I think that one of my, like a follower of mine sent me a fragrance from Dior, and then it just came with a bunch of other Dior samples. So if you get something from Dior, you can just ask for this one. But yeah, that's my honest opinion about it. This is an EDP. I should have mentioned that in the beginning. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this fragrance if you're down to try it, if you have tried it. And I'll see you in the next video, okay? Again, I will say that I forgot what I was gonna say. Shit. It's okay. It's all right. I probably already said it in the video. Anyways, take care. See you later. Bye.